Hello, my name is Daniel Hägglund. I'm a project manager at the SME Climate Hub, and today I'm going to walk you through a core function of the hub, namely the SME reporting tool. As you might already know, committed SMEs must report their progress on a yearly basis as part of their SME climate commitment, and our next reporting deadline is coming up now on October 1st this year. In this video, I will go over how to access the tool, some background information about the reporting framework, how it works, and then finally I will do a walkthrough of the different areas of the tool itself. If you have any questions after watching this video, please check out our FAQ page or reach out to us directly through the contact form, both of which you can reach from smeclimatehub.org. To access the reporting tool, select Resources, Tools, and then Report Progress, or go directly through your user dashboard and select Report. Through this page, you can choose to either create your own report using the SME reporting tool or upload your own report. Remember that it's not needed for you to use the tool itself to comply with the SME climate commitment. So if you've already developed your own sustainability report, you can simply upload this as a PDF. Aside from this, you can through this page view your previously submitted reports and if needed, request a 6-month extension. As mentioned earlier, since June this year, companies that are between 1 to 10 employees have the option to report through our tool for micro enterprises, which is designed with fewer questions to help micro businesses that has less time and resources report their progress efficiently. As mentioned earlier, since June this year, companies that are between 1 to 10 employees have the option to report through our tool for micro enterprises, which is designed with fewer questions to help micro businesses that has less time and less resources report their progress more efficiently. In this video, we will be looking at the regular reporting tool, which is intended for businesses with between 11 to 500 employees. But as we go along, I will clearly highlight which parts that are included in the micro tool as well. So going into the tool itself, on the left side here, you have the different areas of the report, and those marked by red asterisks indicate the mandatory fields. And hovering over the info buttons like this will provide more information on what we're asking for in these particular questions. And sometimes this will also link to other resources or sections of the FAQ page where the subject is explained in more detail. And throughout the tool, the emissions are measured in CO2e, meaning all greenhouse gas emissions. So moving on to the commitments and targets section. In this section, you will enter your long-term net zero targets, as well as near-term targets, including reduction levels, which scopes the target is covering, and which year you will reach your target. Long-term targets should cover all emissions from your organization's value chain, including all greenhouse gases and every part of the organization. Your near-term targets, meaning within 1 to 10 years in the future, can be more specific and a mix of absolute targets and intensity targets, such as reducing emissions per produced unit by 35%. Moving on to the next section, which is called Own Emissions. In this section, you will report on your Scope 1 and 2 emissions, Scope 1 as well as your total energy consumption. Scope 1 refers to direct emissions, meaning greenhouse gases directly released from your owned or controlled sources, such as emissions from company vehicles, on-site boilers, generators, or chemical processes. For Scope 2 emissions, it is mandatory to report on your location-based Scope 2 emissions, and if you want to, you can also report on your market-based Scope 2 emissions. The difference between these lies in how the electricity consumption's emissions are calculated. Location-based emissions measure the average emissions from the electricity grid in a specific geographic location, regardless of the energy source you choose to buy. It simply reflects the overall energy mix in that region where you're located. Market-based emissions, on the other hand, take into account the specific electricity your organization buys. So it reflects the emissions based on the choice of energy provider or contracts that you choose. So simply put, location-based is about the regional grid's average, and market-based is about the specific energy purchase of your organization. In question 3.7, you get the opportunity to describe any actions you have taken or plans that you have made to address your scope 1 and 2 emissions. And if you're in a situation where you have not yet been able to gather all the data on your current emissions, this is a good place to still highlight the efforts that you're doing to address them. So moving on to the next section, which is about value chain emissions, or commonly referred to as scope 3. And this section is the first non-mandatory section, meaning that it's also not included in the micro version of the questionnaire that I mentioned earlier. And while it's not required to report on your scope 3 emissions, we highly encourage you to start looking into this as you progress with your climate journey. Scope 3 emissions are indirect greenhouse gas emissions that occur across a company's value chain. These emissions come from sources that your company doesn't directly control, like purchased goods and services, transportation and distribution, business travel and employee commuting, or use of sold products. So in short, scope 3 covers emissions from activities related to the company, but not directly under its control. And it refers to both upstream emissions, meaning emissions from suppliers, and downstream emissions, meaning emissions from customers. However, some categories in scope 3, like business travel and employee commuting, are easier to take action on, and they're also easier to measure often, which makes them a good starting point for addressing your scope 3 emissions. If you select yes here in 4.1, asking if you measured any of your scope 3 emissions, you will be presented with all the downstream or upstream and downstream scope 3 categories from the GHG protocol. And here, if you haven't measured certain categories, or if they aren't applicable to your type of business, you can simply select that here and then fill in the data on the categories that you have measured. So moving on now to climate solution. This section applies to SMEs who provide climate solutions to give you a chance to describe the positive impact that your business is having on the climate. A climate solution is a product or a service that meets a need in society, contributes to the reduction of GHG emissions, and has significantly lower emissions than business as usual products. Production and consumption of climate solutions should also be compatible with the global 1.5 degree ambition and should lead to acceleration of the transition towards a net zero carbon economy. This section might not be relevant for all companies, but if you are interested in this very important area and would like to read more, you can go to this link through our FAQ page. If you do in fact provide climate solutions, you can select yes here, and then you will be presented with some additional questions around percentage of revenue that the climate solutions contributes to your organization, as well as a description of what solutions you provide. In the next section, called the Management, Strategy and Climate Risk, which as you can see is also not the mandatory section and therefore also not included in the micro version of the reporting tool, you will answer questions related to your company's exposure to climate risk and how climate and sustainability is integrated in your organization, as well as report on any actions you've taken outside of your organization to accelerate climate action. If you have in fact started to measure and look at the climate risk and also opportunities, you will be presented with a few follow-up questions around the types of climate risk you've identified, as well as how you have started to address these climate risks. In the final section, called the Results, Challenges and Outlook, you get the chance to comment on your progress and raise any challenges, blockers, and support that you might need to achieve your targets. This is important to us as it helps us further improve our resources and the overall offering of the hub. In this final section, you can also specify if there has been any third-party validation of the data submitted in your report. I have now gone back and filled in the data for our organization. And in case you can't fill in the entire form in one go, you can just hit save and it will all be saved for when you come back. But once the questionnaire is all filled in, you can click review and submit report down here. And once it's finished loading, you will be presented with a summary of your submitted data. In case you have missed any mandatory field, you will be able to see this in the blue bars here that they aren't entirely filled. And they will be highlighted in this summary view as well. So you can just select edit and go back and adjust it. Once you have looked through that all the data is correct, you can just confirm these two boxes and then submit report. And once you've done this, your report will be uploaded. It will be accessible through your user dashboard, and it will also be publicly visible through our SMEs page. I hope this was helpful for you. And in case you have any questions around this, please check out the different resources and guides available through the hub. You can visit the FAQ page, or you can of course get in contact with us through our contact form. Thank you very much.